And hello everyone, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Coptercast, the only video game show. So today I am joined by Chris Damlo, former editor at TOVG offices, the one guy that's constantly suggesting that Gerard and Alex should commit crimes, and current streamer and all-around good dude.
I mean, they should commit crimes. That's a fact. How's it going? I'm not saying that I'm probably aligned chaotic evil, but let's just put that out there.
Yeah, so we'll start with just a brief introduction of, you and what you're all about.
Yeah, as you so generously put it, I am a current streamer right now. I'm not as active as I should be, but I'm actually like working on a pretty big revamp of like my whole existence on the Twitch platform right now. Yeah, I did used to work for TOVG as like a video editor, and I worked for Super Beard Bros. Right now, I'm living in the Portland area, just like kind of chilling, being me, and hanging out. Yeah, I'm not 100% what else what else to say right now.
Okay. And when would you say you first became interested in video games?
Oh God, I don't know. I think I've honestly been into video games my whole life. My mom and dad had an NES when I was growing up, and I remember them playing Super Mario, or not, yeah, I think it was Super Mario Bros. And then I think the first video game that I remember playing and, being able to play, because when you're a kid, you just kind of hit buttons and things happen. I remember actually playing Kirby's Adventure for the NES, which I think was actually a late title on the NES. And I remember really, really having a good time with that. And that's when I think I became interested in video games. But I think when I really, really, really became interested in video games and when I really like kind of fell in love with video games probably was around the time Pokemon Red and Blue came out. Because I played casually and stuff before that, but I think like those games really hit the nail on the head, especially for like my love of like RPGs and stuff. I think if that makes sense. But definitely the NES era was when my interest peaked, and I think it's kind of been downhill for me ever since.
Okay. And what would you say was your favorite game and or games growing up?
Yeah, I think I kind of jumped. I started to go into this a little bit. I think it's got to be Pokemon, man. Like I know like it's such a cliche answer for someone of my generation, but I started playing Pokemon like right when they came out, and I just got so hooked into. And I think they're called like monster raisers, or like in that kind of that vein. Like I started playing Pokemon, and I got really into JRPGs from that. And then I like got into like Monster Rancher and Dragon Quest Monsters and the Digimon franchise and all of that. And I would honestly say those games probably took up the most of my time. I spent so much time in Monster Rancher 1 and 2 just fucking around. Oh, can I swear on this? I didn't even ask you. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine. You
Okay,
gotta,
okay.
you should just go ahead and I just had to go ahead and make my channel like non-friendly so that YouTube wouldn't destroy it forever.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the game, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent so much time in Monster Rancher and those kind of games that honestly, probably my favorite game growing up of all time. There's two that stand out for sure. Pokemon Crystal, 110%. Such a good game. And Knights of the Old Republic, it's a Star Wars game, is such a fantastic little RPG that had no right to be as good as it was. It's such a good story and such good character development. It just blew me away as like I think I was 13 when that game came out. I'm dating myself a little bit, but that's okay. But Jesus, criminy poop, that was an incredible experience. So much fun.
And what would you say is your favorite game and or games now?
Ooh, that's tough. I think I'm still an RPG boy. I tend to float around those games. I like other games, like I like platformers, and I really like shooters when I'm really feeling it. I tend to have game ADHD sometimes, where I'll like start something and I'll be like, you know what, this came out, I'm gonna play this. But right now, I just became the champion in Pokemon Shield, and I really enjoyed that experience. I was prepared to be pretty critical of that game because there was a lot of negative energy kind of swirling around the release, and I just found that game to be a really pleasant experience, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think it's one of my favorite new games right now. Also, The Outer Worlds is definitely worth a shout out here. I started playing that a couple weeks ago, and that game is also it's weirdly like Futurama. It's got this really deep layer of satire and like irony about like future space capitalism. It's really goddamn funny. And that's worth a look at too. Also, if you've never played the Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth games, those are just so goddamn worth it. So much fun. Such long RPGs with a pretty deep like combat system, and yeah, I mean that's my jam right now. Those kind of like I'm still like a kid. I'm still in the Digimon Pokemon JRPG world because I'm still 12 years old, and I'm totally here for it.
Okay, and what would you say is your like favorite Pokemon that exists so far?
Like of all, like I think what 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Holy God! Oh my jeebers. Okay, I'm gonna name like 5. I think. Are you cool with that?
Sure.
I would say Primarina from Alola is one of my favorites because I think it's so pretty, and it's like this beautiful mermaidy sea lion Pokemon, and I like its typing a lot. I've always had a special spot for the Pokemon Chandelure, which I think is originally, oh my gosh, I think it's Gen 5? I'm not sure. It's a fire ghost type. I really, really like Bulbasaur, and that Bulbasaur's whole evolutionary line. That was my first starter ever, so I've always had like an attachment to that Pokemon. There's just so many. I love a lot of them so much. I really think that Galarian Weezing is hilariously stupid looking, but I flip and love it. It's got this cool top hat, and it's so cute, and I really, really like it. Yeah, I think those are like my top ones. Oh, no, there's a new one. No spoilers, but it's called Centiskorch, and it's a centipede fire. It's a bug fire type, and it's this centipede that has these antennae that are like made of flames. It looks so stinking cool, and I was really impressed by that design. I'm like, I'm using this forever and a half. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at right now with those ones. I really like those Pokemon. Those are really neat.
Okay. Yeah, so, like, what did you do? Like, if you could go into a bit more detail, like the nitty gritties of what you did during your time at the TOVG / Beard Bros offices.
Yeah, so a typical sort of day. Oh, well, that's another question. I'll wait for that one. So the brunt of my job, depending on, it kind of like evolved as time went on because I started as an intern, and that was sort of help out where I could sort of situation. But for the most part, my job consisted of like managing and uploading videos to the channel along with editing content. And so I did a lot of the like back end channel stuff, like helping with tagging the videos, like labeling them, scheduling them, coordinating with our producers and like helping them. Like they would pick the content and I would help coordinate that. And I would help, like Tom and I both were editors at the time, like towards the end of the time that I was there, and him and I would both edit congruently. He would do a lot of the editing for the main show. Like, so he did a lot of like the video game episodes, but I would do a lot of the editing for F at Beer Bros because that became like F at Beer Bros became more like heavy editing episodes. So like, cause you know how like Beer Bros episodes are a lot, they're more like Let's Play. So it's like boom. And you know, Beer Bros always pride itself on like, we're showing you everything that happens in an episode. and so the editing wasn't as heavier and encompassing, so it was a little easier. But F It Beer Bros was a thing where it was like, oh my God, we're going to do all this crazy stuff, and it's going to be a lot more time intensive. So an episode of F It Beer Bros could take anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks to put together, and so that became more of my focus the longer that show existed. I also almost exclusively did the audio engineering and video engineering and stream and running the stream for like the Beer Bros streams when we were on Facebook, and when we started to dip our, we didn't really do that much Twitch when I was still there, but we started dipping our toes into Twitch when I was working there. But Tom did that too, and so did Ted every now and then. But if I was gone, or like if I had like a project I was working on, or if like one day Tom was like, oh, I'd really like to do this today, like he would do it. But for the most part, I almost exclusively took care of that. And before like F It Beer Bros became a full-time thing, every now and then I would help, like all of us kind of did this, like we all helped build assets and graphics and stuff. But for the most part, I think Pat does all of that now himself. But we used to all kind of like have a hand in that for the completionist, but not so much anymore. I don't actually know any. I don't know anymore. I've been gone. I'm so sorry. I've been gone a little bit, so I don't exactly know anymore. But I think that kind of encompasses what I all did. Ooh.
Okay, and like, how did you come to work for TOVG?
It was super, super random. Sorry, I'm just getting a drink of water because I coughed a little bit. And so my friend Patrick, who is the editor for The Completionist, he worked there first. And he was an intern when I knew he was working there. And then he ended up getting hired on full-time I don't know if it was full-time, but he got hired on in the Beard Bros position. And then randomly, when I had moved to Los Angeles, and I was working at Red Lobster as a bartender and like doing other things here and there on the side, like actor work or looking for actor work and like doing whatever part-time. He was like, "Are you looking for like an internship? How do you feel about like maybe a YouTube internship?" And I was like, it could be cool. Like maybe I'll check it out. Like I'd love to interview for it. And so Patrick literally got me an interview with Gerard. It's kind of funny because I had never watched TOVG content, or like here's weird. I never watched The Completionist before, but I knew who Callie and Alex were because I'd watched the National Dex before, but I had never watched The Completionist or Beard Bros before. So like someone was like, "Oh man, you're interviewing with The Completionist." So I was like, "Yeah, he's just I don't know." Like I didn't know who he was, so I didn't have like that like big like, "Ooh, who's this dude?" Like the big YouTuber I'm gonna go see, which is kind of funny. But like I remember I saw Kelly and Alex, and I was like, "Oh shit, who are these?" Like, "Oh my god." Like I kind of freaked out more about them because I was a big Pokemon fan, and I watched a lot of Pokemon YouTube content. And I remember that made my tummy turn a little bit, which was really funny. But yeah, I got the internship basically because of Patrick, which I think is really funny. And that's how Ted did too, because so when I started interning, Patrick started moving towards, because I started taking over some of his Beard Bros responsibilities as an intern. And then we hired Ted on, and he started kind of sharing some of that. And then Pat was like, well, shit, I got to start doing something else. And he started taking on some of the completionist responsibilities, and then all of our jobs kind of shifted, and then we kind of like settled into the roles that everyone kind of knows that we have today, or had. Well, they have today.
Okay. And just as someone who has like never done like the specific type of work that like you and Ted and Patrick and all the other staff have done, like what does like a typical work day at the TOVG, what did a typical day at TOVG look like?
It depends on the day. Right now we're very, 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 we were, again, like I have to talk like I'm still there, but I'm not. It's very nicely scheduled and structured, which is something that I really appreciated because especially for a small company that can be hard to do. And so like for example, like Mondays we have our weekly meeting where we all get together with the writers and with our producers and with all the editors and and like with Gerard and Alex, and we talk about, okay, what was last week like? Cool. Anything blocking you? Like, do you have anything in your way? Okay, cool. What are we doing this week? It's sort of like our weekly planning and recap meeting, which I really liked. And then essentially we would have our days like planned out. Like, okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's the times that we stream. Okay, so now coordinate your editing and your other work around this. Or that was for me anyway. For like Patrick, it might be something like, okay, Monday I get all of Gerard's game footage that he did from the week before. Here, I also get the script from the week before, et cetera, et cetera. And Ted might be, okay, I'm going to take Monday and plan all of my social media stuff. And the next day is like, okay, now that we have everything planned, now here's where we start to implement. For me, it might be like, okay, Monday, here's where I'm going to choose to upload everything. Because like what I would do is I would like upload everything for the next week, the week before. So I'd have everything planned out kind of a week in advance. So that way there was never a day that something wasn't going to go out, or that was the hope anyway. And we would try to like make sure everything was always planned. Depending on what F at Beard Bros was coming out, my week might consist more of, okay, today I'm going to take a couple hours at this time to work on F at Beard Bros, and then okay, streaming cuts that in half, and then in the afternoon I'm going to work on this. So it was a lot of like project management planning, like prioritizing what was the most important task at the time, and depending on whose job was what. Like for example, Tom, I don't know now because I know they changed the structure a little bit since I left, because like the roles changed around a little bit. But I know when I was there, Tom's time was primarily spent almost editing the whole time. So, but he might do something a little different now. It might be a different ball game depending on what he's doing, or what the power structure, or not the power, what the role structure is like now. But it was very well organized. It was very nicely planned out for us, and like Michael Barrity and Fraser were really good about letting us know what our roles were and what tasks we had to do, and it was nice. So yeah, I think that answers the typical day question.
Okay. And like, what would you say was your favorite TOVG like based memory?
Oof. I have a lot. I have a lot of good memories there, honestly. I think one of the best ones for me. Okay, so it's kind of a weird answer, but I think one of my best overall memories has to be when we started streaming. I really, really valued spending that time, like not only working on that part of the show, because I really liked helping craft and cultivate the stream with Alex, Gerard, and Brett, but I really valued spending that time getting to know them as like coworkers and friends. And I feel like that was some of my favorite moments came from that, because that's when, we didn't necessarily stream Pokemon, but that was sort of like starting to get into that era of that time. And I really liked that. I really, really enjoyed that time frame. It just made me really happy, and it was good to spend time with all of them. And I really value. I think I made especially with Alex, I cultivated a really strong friendship with him, and that time I'll just never forget. And I think for like a specific memory, when we did Fuck You Pikachu, that was a really good time. Oh my god, Fuck You Pikachu was ridiculous. God, that game was so bad. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. And oh my god, and Gerard and Alex got a little hammered, and it was quite magical.
Okay. And like, as someone who's watched quite a bit of the completionist and Super Beard Bros, Like, the one thing I know for sure is that sometimes whoever's editing the episodes at the time is given jobs that can range from odd to very odd. So, what was your oddest task that, you've ever been given at either, like, the completion, either for a completionist video or, like, during an episode of Super Beard Bros?
Oh my! One of my favorite ones was I can't. I think it was Mario Maker. I can't remember if it was Mario Maker or if it was. I don't think it was Pokemon. It was Mario Maker or something in that same time period. I don't remember which episode it was specifically, but they're like, Chris, you gotta stop episode right now. You gotta film yourself. You gotta go up to Patrick and you have to make him show you how to put a stroke around like insert a font and put a stroke around it, and you have to show him how to. You have to walk him to your desk and make him do it. That was really strange. It was a really funny bit though, because Patrick was like literally. It was when Patrick was in Gerard's office, and so as I stormed into Gerard's office, Gerard immediately was like, "What the fuck?" And then he knew immediately what was happening, and then he started being like, "Do it, bitch! Do it! You gotta fucking do it!" and then Pat's like, "Oh," Pat was like in the like balls deep into work, and was like, "Oh my god! And what is this?" I'm like, "Come on, man! You gotta come do it!" And then I don't know. It was funny. And, Pat's Patrick, so he just was very dry about the whole thing. So that was fun. That was one of the oddest, strangest moments. Like, there was a couple like that where they made me stop and like go grab something. There was one where they made me have Bradley do. They made me. I think it was Dr. Knack. They made me grab Bradley.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, they're like, no, okay, you can't edit this, but make Bradley specifically in like MS Paint or some shitty program. Make him edit Dr. Knack and make a tutorial on how to make Dr. Knack. That was funny too. So making Bradley stop his work to come do that for me was pretty good. That was really fun.
Okay. Oh, I remember that part.
That was a good bit.
And yeah, and next, do you agree that your friend, former coworker Alex Fasciani, like, agreed that he indeed invented Mario?
Without a doubt in my mind, he created Mario.
Okay, and
no questions asked.
If at some point someone makes Gerard listen to any of the TOVG interview, Gerard, if you're listening to this, you are now we are 4 for 4 of TOVG people who agreed that Alex invented Mario. Yep, and now we move on to the question that everyone who's ever been on the show always understands perfectly, and there's never been any confusion on it. So, Chris, in your opinion, is video games?
I'm going to answer this simply. Yes.
Okay. And yes, and before we begin to sign off, are there any upcoming video game related like streams or projects that you have planned?
Yeah, so specifically video game wise, I actually like talked about this a little bit on, I guess, like, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I talked about this on Twitter, I'm going to say a couple days ago. But so I'm planning on doing a Pokemon stream on Twitter, whether that's going to be me doing raids or building my competitive team, or I just bite the bullet and do a whole new adventure. I haven't decided yet, but that's something I'm really invested in now because I guess, like I was saying before, I'm really in love with this new generation and this new iteration of Pokemon. Also, the Outer Worlds I will be continuing streaming very, very soon. And if you don't mind me mentioning, non-video game related, I'm going to be starting to do D&D content on my Twitch. So, look out for that.
Ooh. You do need to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons one day.
Oh, dude, D&D is my life right now. It's kind of a problem.
And yeah, that brings us to the conclusion of this particular episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast. I would like to thank Chris for joining me and helping to entertain my fantasies of video game show have.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And if any of the -7 people listening to this enjoyed what they heard, you can subscribe to the Pumpkin Coptercast at youtube.com/thepumpkincoptercast. Yeah, and press that little bell notification because everyone loves unnecessary extra steps. If for some reason anyone out there wishes to give me a money, you can go to the Pumpkin Copter. You can go to patreon.com/thepumpkincoptercast where you'll get, early news as to future interviews as well as see some sketch versions of thumbnails that my friend Pesky Plumber has made for the show. And Chris, is there anything you wish to plug to hell and back before we go?
Oh, no. This is all about you, my friend.
Okay, so, and if you also want to follow me on the Twitters at TGorman83, you can do that. If you're wondering which one that was, you'll know me by my profile picture as, my brother and me character Big Debbie holding the Infinity Gauntlet. And just the side tangent, since you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons, I have also made a character sheet of Big Debbie, so when I finally learn how to play that game, that's the character I'm going to be using.
Oh, Big Debbie.
So, yes, this has been the Pumpkin Coptercast, and as I say at the end of every show, have a gourd day.